more hands, less work. You don't have to know anything to contribute. But when you provide an opportunity to people that want to put in their time, you can get a lot done.
Hello, I'm Eric Anderson. The voice you just heard belongs to Brennen Mills. He's the featured guest in Season 8, Episode 3 of YXC Underground. Brennen Mills is the co-owner of Saskatoon Fire and Flood, a restoration and construction company that helps people who have experienced damage to their home or business. Helping those in need is something Brennen values in his business and in his life, and he's giving back to the community in meaningful ways. We get to know Brennen Mills in this episode of YXC Underground.
This machine in here is a large commercial laundry machine. So Nesporta is technology. It was more created for cleaning hockey gear, helmets, skates, whatever. But we use it now for fire claims, sewer claims, like anything, well, not everything, but most things that are affected we can process in this facility.
Welcome to Saskatoon Fire and Flood. It's a Friday afternoon and Brennen Mills is showing me and my photographer, Rana Andres, around the building. It's a really impressive space full of tools and equipment designed to help people recover from an incident such as a house fire.
I can remember a claim as a kid helping a client through. Do you remember POGs? Oh my goodness. So I can remember working on a fire and these kids had POGs like you've never seen POGs. And so our crew was tasked with cleaning thousands of POGs. So if you ever picture, I mean, those are cardboard, even worse, but part of the process with an insurance claim is what's worth saving and what's important to you, and what can we do, what can't we do, how do we handle these things, and that's where it ties into how intricate or delicate a claim can be, right? Everybody's different, and maybe they don't care about POGs anymore, but Lego's another example.
I feel lucky to say I have never had to call on Brennen and his team for their help. In fact, Brennen was not on my radar for podcast guests until his colleague, Candice Chakowski, nominated him through the YXC Underground website this past summer. Her email was compelling, and it really got me thinking of how important communication is in Brennen's line of work. Here is a portion of Candice's email that really connected with me and got this episode in motion. Brennen was born and raised in Saskatchewan's construction industry. He knows this work inside and out, but what makes him different is his ability to see the human side of it. We deal with people going through some of the hardest days of their lives, fires, floods, and major loss. And Brennen never lets us forget that we're not just fixing buildings, we're helping people get their lives back. Helping those in need and giving back to the community are priorities in Brennen's leadership style and his personal life. He is the vice chair of the Saskatoon Public Schools Foundation, and his willingness to volunteer his time and energy led the SPSF to recognize Brennen and Saskatoon Fire and Flood at this month's National Philanthropy Day. Zeba Ahmed is the CEO of the Saskatoon Public Schools Foundation and is grateful for the energy Brennen brings to the organization.
He's always open to anything that we ask him to do, be it just having fire and flood trucks help us deliver to schools. We have little squares of carpet that kids sit on during one of our activities or events, and he'll get them cleaned and he'll store them for us. But then we have meetings with government. He goes, okay, what can I do? Who do I need to talk to? What letter can I write? Always open to helping out, and he always says, just tell me what I need to do.
So I think by now you're getting a sense of how quality a person Brennen Mills is, but here's the thing. He would rather talk about anything else than himself, which made for some very funny moments in our conversation when I would press him for a story or two. We started recording in the warehouse of Fire and Flood, and I started by asking how he describes the work his company does.
We solve problems, I think. When our phone rings, typically the majority of our business is insurance-based, so something's gone wrong. So your home, your property, whether it be business, residential, something you didn't want to happen, happened. And it's a definitely an exciting piece of what we do. Often we get to be a hero, so show up, help somebody, time of need. Could be something to expand on with that, but it's a rewarding experience as fire and flood to help somebody, and big part of what we do.
I'm so curious about that, because when I got the email from your lovely colleague who's standing just over there.
Thanks, Candace.
Yes, thanks, Candace. But I'm so glad she did, because the more I thought about what you do, like it's so interesting, because it's not like someone wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh, I can't wait to call Saskatoon Fire and Flood." Like people are calling you because they are in distress, as my friend Rana was saying, or there's something chaotic happening. What are those first conversations like with people when they call you?
Stress. You're overwhelmed. Your property and your things are affected. So something's gone wrong. You don't know what to do or who to call. Typically, our clients don't know we exist. And as you said, what do we do? We're not a retail. We're a service-based business that shows up in a time of need. It's those phone calls are, I'll say, similar in nature, but what went wrong and who's affected and what their circumstance in life is at that time has a drastic impact on, I guess, what the next steps are and how important things are. So navigating what's important to them and how we can help.
Okay, so on the navigation front, like how do you have like almost like a script, kind of like when you get a call, or is it every individual case is, I guess, kind of unique? Like how do you know what to do? How do you know how to listen to people and then sort of start the process? I find the communication part so interesting.
And difficult. Communication. We talk about it a lot. Yeah. Is there a script? No. But ultimately, if you can pick up the phone and listen, try and understand what's going on, trying to understand the nuance of what's happened, it's difficult. You can have the best process, but there's always something a little different or intriguing about that person's circumstance and what's happening. So do we have it all figured out? Heck no. It's an ongoing evolution of whether it be new process within the industry, or it could be as much as how cold it is outside. Like the type of phone call that can happen could be as simple as maybe it's a small water leak, or my house is currently still on fire and I don't know where I'm going to live tonight. So it's a very wide ranging.
You get those kind of calls?
Unfortunately.
Really? What do you say when someone says my house is still on fire and I don't know where I'm going to sleep tonight? Brennen, what do you say to that?
Have you called the fire department? First of all, are you safe? Those, I almost want to say typical, but it's not in that stressful phone call. It could be a flood too. So you walk in your basement and there's 6 feet of water, and the heirlooms and the antiques, whatever it is. Like, people have a lot of stuff and it's important to them, and it's not junk. And trying to work with our staff to understand this communication piece as to how to navigate that. Don't lie and it's their first claim or first bad experience, but it's our 100th or 1000th, whatever it is. So trying to keep in mind that every circumstance is so important to each client, right? It's such a difficult industry because it is a business. And I mean, we're not, as much as we're first responders in a right, we're not firefighters or police officers in that same regard. So, but to navigate how to give someone comfort and assure them that help is on the way, that's the number one. How we're going to solve those problems and who needs to be involved is a bit of the process on the back end. So we have an amazing team, and it's tough to teach that, and you learn the hard way, as we do in a lot of what we do. But just sharing those experiences and stories, and when we have debriefs or reflection periods as to how do we answer the phone, what could we say. Just because we've done it for a lot of years doesn't mean we do it the best or the right way, and just always trying to improve.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you talk about the debrief, because I think that sometimes that gets lost in organizations in terms of, like, you're just on to the next thing. But how important is it after, maybe a situation has passed, that you debrief with your team about how things went?
Every day you get caught up in the moment, and maybe it's a big storm or, a lot of phone calls. There can be times when we have 100 clients that need our help today, and that all just came in today. So you navigate that differently than maybe it's a different process as to why that insured or client have reached out. Maybe it's just word of mouth and you've heard of us and you want to work with us, and there's not the same urgency, but of course we got to return those phone calls and, work on how to provide that customer service. I think the reflection in the need to be self-aware that there's always something to improve on, and our growth in the last, I'll say 5 years, but I mean, if Fire and Flood is 20 years old, this started as a family business, and it's still run in some ways that same way, but our growth, more people, more, say, risk in a sense, but training and onboarding, and that very important conversation, simply like, how do we reflect and how often? It's weekly, and trying to help each other learn, because I maybe have been in that circumstance many times, but somebody new to our team hasn't. So they feel that same stress at times that the client does. Oh my goodness, what do you mean? And how can we help? Like, we'll be there. I may need to check with somebody, but we're gonna sort this out. So I forgot how we got here.
No.
Okay.
I was just thinking though, like, if there's someone, because how long have you been with Saskatoon Fire and Flood?
15 years.
Okay. So you've been here for 15 years. You have probably experienced a lot of things that I'll ask you about in a bit. But if you have someone new who maybe doesn't have all the answers right away, is it hard from your guys' perspective to, like, because I'm sure the people that are calling you want like some answers right away, or they want to know like they're going to be all right. Is it hard sometimes to say like, hey, I don't know right now, but if you give me a bit of time, I'll find the answers for you? Is it hard to say that?
No, that would be part of our guidance to our staff.
Yeah.
I mean, try and not say I don't know too often, because that's not going to instill a lot of confidence, but a better answer would be, I'm going to look into that for you. We can help. Let me look into that. Can I say I'm going to be there in 10 minutes? No, but we're on our way. And just being upfront with people. So with new staff, and part of our growth, that we often put ourselves back into those shoes. So having grown up in the industry, and my business partner and a lot of our team have been at this for 20, 30 years, what we do hasn't changed, but the amount of people involved in the process, the industry as a whole, has changed so much, it's unrecognizable from 5 years ago, like I'd say 10 years ago, but probably 2 years ago. It's just evolving so quick. So that is a challenge as a business owner, as a supervisor, a leader, not losing sight of what it's like for each person in these different roles, helping them through it and recognizing that we've done this before. We can work together. We can get there. With Fire and Flood 15 years ago, if there was 12 of us as a company, we spoke a little bit about growth, and this summer there was, I'll say about 150 of us. You can't be everywhere. You can't be on every phone call. Just think when you're waiting for me to come and join us here at the phone calls and the interruptions, and it keeps it interesting. So,
where else should we? Are there other parts of the warehouse you want to show, or
yeah,
or that we're allowed to go?
Well, you got free reign here right now, so we're walking into the saw shop. So this would be kind of the heart of the construction team. At any given time, there's about 60, 70 people that use this as a bit of a home base. So whether it's just some site prep or material storage, tools, maintenance, safety meetings, this would be the construction side. So if they're in here, might cringe a little bit. Are you supposed to be somewhere? And that's another part with new staff and students. They don't know who to talk to. You almost got to walk through here and find out, do you know what you're doing today and who you should be talking to? So we got room for improvement. But yeah, so construction is a big part. As a restoration company, oftentimes people don't know. The heroes answer the phone, they show up, they help you in a time of need. They, clean up water or fire or a vehicle impact, bio, we won't get into that right now, there's a whole world to it, but fluids, things like that. So our team handles so many difficult, or it really depends on the person how interesting it might be, but emergencies. And then the full component of construction can get overlooked. So okay, everything got cleaned up, what's next, and how we communicate that with the client. Like, we're with you from start to finish. We can help. We work with your insurance company, your broker. There's a lot of different clients within a project in insurance. There's a lot of people that are looking after whether it be themselves or their interests within the claim. So trying to help everybody through it.
When you were talking about, like, it's not just you're showing up in that moment, but you're with a client, you're with a business or a family for a while, you must develop, and your staff, you must develop like close relationships with people. Yes. What is that like?
I mean, you try not to share too many details and get birthday cards or anything like that, but you get involved right when people aren't expecting it. So when we show up, you can ask some difficult questions, like, is there anything in here that you don't want me to see? Because we're here to help. We're going to move your things around. Is there dangerous goods? Or there's some funny stories when you get into contents, right? So if we go into an affected house of some sort and we have to list everything that's in there, whether it's damaged or not, and you provide the list to the client and they're reviewing it. Maybe it's sensitive in nature. Well, there's no way that was in my house. Well, I didn't just make it up. So those are, again, how you handle that conversation takes some nuance. Yeah. Or how you describe an item of somebody's personal nature. You do your best. AI may help us in that one day, but at this point, it's somebody trying to determine what that widget is, or how important it is to you. So you get into people's lives quickly and the hard way. I can think of, I'll use my wife as an embarrassing story in a circumstance, but say you have somebody coming over to clean the house, yet she's spending half the day to pre-clean the house before somebody comes there to help. One of those I scratch my head like, okay, I think, but that's human nature as well. So yeah, you get to learn people's schedules, lives, their jobs, their kids' birthdays, and cats and dogs, and whatever, right? Yeah. So you build relationships. How I enter people's contacts into my phone is always an interesting adventure.
For example?
Wow. Nothing derogatory or anything in that sense, but trying to keep the Toms of the world separate. Okay, Tom, and then maybe they call you back 3 years later for a different circumstance and you're trying to remember who they are. So if you look through my contact list, it might be Tom the painter or Tom on Broadway or, something like that, just to jog your memory, because oftentimes, and that happens maybe unfortunately too often around here. Well, somebody says they know you. It's like, well, yeah.
You must know a lot of people.
Well, I don't think so, but I think more people know me than I know them. But that's always interesting. Whether you know me or not, that might not be a good thing to say when you call in, because people are like, oh, another person that knows Brennen. This is going to be interesting.
I doubt that.
No, Cam's shaking her head. She agrees. Yeah.
When you first started with this company, what did you do?
When I joined Fire and Flood, it was primarily a restoration company, so they didn't really have a mitigation company. They didn't have much of a construction presence, and that was my background. You could go down that hole where, my family was carpenters, some entrepreneurs within there. learned a lot of what I know at a young age, and it's grown. So when I started in this industry, and I've been in it for, I don't know if I want to date myself now, but almost 30 years, so most of my life, and actually started in a family business in the same industry. So we're now competition. There was some interesting supper table conversations there for a while, but yeah, that you could save that for chapter 2 if you wanted. But family business, that's a whole dynamic I could speak more on, and it's Saskatoon, everybody knows everybody, and then stick handling, that side of it, it's important to any business, right? I mean, word of mouth and reputation, and trying to just do the right thing all the time for our people, in our product. What'd you ask about getting into this industry?
Yeah, like, okay. and when you first started, like, so with restoration, I guess what I'm building up to is I'm wondering if there was a moment early on with your time here with Fire and Flood where you went to a business or a person's house that needed your help, your support, that maybe left an impact on you, because I imagine like this can be hard work, and you're giving a lot of yourself, and yet you've been doing it for a long time, and clearly you love doing it. But I'm wondering if there was a time early on where it was like, okay, this was a big thing, but it left an impression on me.
Yeah. Is that a good enough answer? Getting into the industry at a young age, my dad got into the industry fixing kicked-in doors, and worked out of his truck and then his garage. And if there's 3 guys, I can remember a friend of mine at that time, and I was still a teenager. He quit on me because I told him he'd have to wear a shirt with sleeves. Just the nature of that whole conversation was difficult, working with friends and family, but just knowing that this is a rewarding experience, I believe, and we try and ensure that our people feel the same, but you do get to make an impact, whether it's rebuilding something or helping somebody in a time of need. Maybe I'm hyping up insurance contracting a little much, but that would be my experience with it. Why are we talking about me? Let's talk about Fire and Flood.
Well, no, but I'm picturing you as first coming out. I know I'm just grilling you, Brennen. Yeah. I promise it'll be worth it. Yeah. When you're like first going out to do these jobs, like was there one example or one instance or maybe a family you met where it sort of left a mark on you, like, oh, what I'm doing is important, what I'm doing is helpful?
I wouldn't say it's one. It's every time. Yeah. You work with somebody new, and it's an interesting industry, and we try and warn our people. You can be a journeyman carpenter, but not be good at what we do, because you're working. It's renovation. It's working with circumstances that were there before. So you're not building from a blueprint. So it is rewarding to problem solve. Again, it ties into that nature of it. But to work with all of these different clients, it's rewarding, and the impact it has on myself and the people, our people, is ongoing. Now I'm stuck in my head here about back then, and I would have been, before I could drive, helping out on job sites. So hauling drywall or garbage, emptying pails, picking up tools, and it can be rewarding even at that level, because you get work with your hands, you learn things, and the end product of what you do in carpentry and in construction is rewarding in itself. You add that with helping clients again, return to a sense of normalcy and provide them back something better than what they had. That's exciting.
I love the word normalcy. That's something like Rana and I, where we work at Sherbrooke, we talk about normalcy a lot in our culture, in our organization. But yeah, you're right. And that must bring such like comfort or warmth to the business or to the family when it's all fixed up, when it's done.
Yeah, don't lose sight of it. And I mean, that's tough too. You got to hold on to that and remind ourselves that piece. So as we've grown and the problems we deal with are bigger or more of them and more people, again, just whether it be extensions of ourselves in a way, but to provide them success, not to lose sight of, what we do in this industry. We could segue into the community side of it because it's such a huge piece, again, as fire and flood. I don't know
Yes, no, I was just about to ask, because when we walked in, there's a very lovely award on your front desk when you walk in. Do you want to tell people about it?
Yes, we just, for the longest time, we thought we were always a nominee, and nobody actually won the awards that you get nominated for. But we were very
Is it an ABEX
surprised.
Awards?
That was ABEX. Behind it would have been NSBA. So earlier this spring was the first award we'd ever won. Nomination, that takes a piece, and we're not good at writing the background to, again, if I would have prepared for today, maybe I'd have some better content, but to all of a sudden have our team's name called and then wing it when you're on stage, that's a fun, oh my goodness, I didn't think we were going to win. What do I say now? I still don't know what I said. Candace can share that with you later, but no, Chris and I standing on stage to be recognized, first of all with NSBA, then recently ABEX. We're excited for SABEX is coming up.
And this is for community involvement, right?
Yeah, community involvement, community investment. That's what those awards were for. The other nominations is growth and expansion in some different categories, but it's a big part, and I think it stems from, you talk about the rewarding nature of what we do. It goes hand in hand, and we are more than what we do in a day, right? Like, I guess that's our philosophy, is we have an obligation, if you will, to provide opportunity for our team to do more and participate, and community is so important. I think we treat ourselves as a community, as this organization. So yes, NSBA, ABEX, hopefully SABEX. I think, I don't know what National Philanthropy, sorry, did I get it right?
Oh, National Philanthropy Day? Yes, in November, yeah.
She's laughing at me because
Are you going to be there?
I can't say that word. Yes, we were fortunately nominated for that day, so that's coming up as well. So this is a whole big year in that to be recognized wasn't actually expected, but I guess it helps our team recognize it's not just Brennen and management saying, come out and help us because we tell you to hopefully provide some context to others, and just, these guys are trying. That's pretty special.
Yeah.
So
has giving back to your community and being a productive, and I guess I would say like a caring member too within the community, has that been something that was sort of like been ingrained in you since you were a kid? Sort of a value like that?
I'll say no, but with a certain, as you grow, our experiences and sharing them with others, I guess thinking about what you might be trying to ask me here today, and I was trying to think that specific question. Did I grow up volunteering? The answer is no. Was I aware of it? Yes. But everybody's busy and you got priorities. You're a teenager and young families and things. But I think the core of it, or the fundamental part that I've carried with me, starts younger again. So when I talk about a family of carpenters and entrepreneurs, my mom's side of the family, from being in Saskatchewan, a little bit of farming in there and mostly construction, but the Pallet War Hive, or I can't remember exactly the nickname, but when the Pallet Wars got together, they got a lot done. So if I was trying to think of where I got that community aspect, would probably be in that, where more hands, less work. You don't have to know anything to contribute, but when you provide an opportunity to people that want to put in their time, you can get a lot done. And that in itself is rewarding. And I think I could pull or feel some of our values now coming from that. Like you don't have to do a lot. You don't have to carry a whole initiative. You don't have to make an event all on your own. But if you show up for an hour, you add that up with other people, and you can get a lot done. And that the impact and the rewarding nature of that is probably what we're hoping for with our team, or to set an example for others, right? Oftentimes it comes up too where, we have sign-up sheets for, hey, we got Coats for Kids tomorrow. And you'll see a lot of the same names on there. But if we get one new name on there and they enjoy just a little bit about it and they tell themselves that wasn't that hard. I can come out to a different event and I didn't have to do anything. Tomorrow was just accepting Coats from Public. But to smile and wave, that person who took their time and donated a coat, to see you engaged in it, it just has a profound effect on everybody involved. Yes, we have a lot of repeats, and they're important to what we do in our volunteering, but as our team has grown, that's probably an example I've given, where just give us an hour. You might like it. You might not, but I bet you'll like something. And tell us what's important to you. So we don't want to just say, hey, this is a fire and flood event, and this is what is in front of us or important. But what's important to our people is important to us, and what's important in your community. I feel. Do you want to sit down or something? We can keep walking around.
Yeah, let's keep walking.
Okay. Volunteering. What were we talking about? Oh, how we got here. Community involvement.
Yeah.
So I guess at a young age, learning, and it was probably self-serving as a family to get together and build something, but to learn from those lessons and experiences to incorporate that now into what we do as an organization, I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
I love that. Thank you for sharing all that, because I do think it's so interesting, because these things don't just happen with businesses and organizations. I think so much of it comes from leadership setting a tone, leadership, instilling values, letting their team know what's important. So thank you for sharing that. Can you explain to listeners what's happening right now?
Well, Kai, one of our dog mascots at the office, is making sure we're aware he's still here.
And this is your puppy, right?
Yeah, that's Kai. My wife's best friend, and sometimes he joins us here at the office, as the other staff dogs. I'll say I'm allergic to cats, so maybe we're not a cat-friendly zone, but
he's a good puppy. You've been very generous with your time. There's one other aspect that I want to ask you about, and this is your involvement with Saskatoon Public Schools, with the foundation. How did you get involved with the foundation?
They just told me I was, so that happens sometimes. Don't ask my wife about it. You can't. I can't skip over my family.
Because you have 4 kids, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I can think of myself talking to our team about come out and give that hour. And I know that you're sacrificing something. Is it your Tuesday night? Is it your Saturday morning? Whatever it might be. And our families are so, people often overlook the impact of this much time and being this busy at that level. I'm a little scared to tell her if I joined a board or something like that. The foundation is one of them, but whether it be construction association, an industry board, local soccer board. Sometimes I don't know how these things happen, but maybe I got to learn to say no, but it's not necessarily that. It's just I feel we're more capable than we think we are. And to challenge yourself and put yourself at that threshold and learn that, hey, I can do more than I thought. I have more time than I thought. That's probably not right, but I might be late for more things than I should be, a little bit of overlap. But the Saskatoon Public School Foundation was an easy yes. I didn't know much about them. I've seen them through the kids, school division and announcements and things like that. But to get involved with a group like that, it is such an impressive group. Industry, like community leaders, and to be invited to participate. Don't ask me what I do there. I just do what I'm told, and I'm more of the grunt labor, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I technically am the vice chair, so I cringe right now at any potential listeners. But the impact, that's at the far end of the scale is what's possible. So literacy, well-being, and innovation is the Saskatoon Public School Foundation disciplines, if you will. And to learn what goes into, at a large scale, with a lot of people involved, donation type work, or like the funding that's needed for the underserved pieces of our community, the gap within it, the politics involved, my goodness, it's an eye-opening experience. So I do what I'm told. I mean, we have a great group, Zeba, the CEO, and we got some new board members coming on now. Our chair, Rylan Hunter, the leadership, the direction that they have, the supporters that they've gained or procured, and really telling the story as to why this is important. So literacy is a big piece of it, and all day, every day kindergarten. Again, my kids have gone through Saskatoon Public Schools and Catholic schools, but to be so naive to realize that full day kindergarten is not funded by the government. If you look at our literacy rates, can't quote me or I won't guess at it right now, but we're not great in Canada. So we're lacking. We're in the bottom end for sure. And if we can't read, the impact on our kids in their confidence, in their future, well, I think the statistic is if you don't read at the grade 3 level by a grade 3, you're 4 times less likely to graduate. Less likely. Yeah.
You know what's, it's so interesting that you say that, because I was at an event last night where one of the speakers was talking about child literacy in Saskatchewan, and he said that exact same statistic, and it just, like, my jaw hit the floor then. And it's the fact that you're just saying that now, it's like, yeah, and it's something I know growing up I completely took for granted that, like, of course I'm surrounded by people, I have the opportunities and the resources to learn how to read, and yet that's missing for so many other kids. So yeah, so I applaud your work and the foundation's work, because it's so important, isn't it?
It's amazing. Just the opportunity we can give the youth in our community, Indigenous, non-Indigenous. I mean, there's a variety of factors, but the core principle of being able to read has such a long-lasting effect on, being, say, successful in life, with a variety of parts to that. But that's where I talk about it. It was easy to say yes, just to contribute in some way. I'm not the one that's got the great ideas, but if I can help, if I can bring some support to it, if I can set up chairs in an event or whatever it might be, it's amazing. So Saskatoon Public Foundation, great group.
You're a busy man.
That's what they say. When I talk about that family side, my wife, I mean, we try and do the shared schedule. Whether I put everything in there or not is probably something I got to do better at, but to try and be everywhere is impossible, but to try and make yourself available. The kids at the age that they're at, they're so busy with sports and birthday parties, and you combine just our own internal family, and then you extend it into this business as a family and the community beyond that. You can't, it's hard to say you can't be, because you don't know what you can do until you show up and try. The balance between where that effort is and what events you're going to and where the kids are supposed to be, trying to help it. I haven't mastered it, but yeah, again, that's whatever. Is this a 5-hour podcast? Is this a 1 hour?
I was just about to wrap up. I promise you. I promise you. That was pretty.
We could talk longer. You were warned. I'll start rambling.
Yes, no. This is great. I was just thinking, like, had it not been for the email, I don't know if I ever would have. Maybe our paths would have crossed. Maybe, knock on wood. There's wood back there. Knock on wood. Like I wouldn't ever have to call in terms of fire and flood, but like you're a very thoughtful guy, and you obviously have a very big heart, and you love giving back to the community. And I know this, talking into a microphone, but talking into a microphone probably isn't your jam. But I appreciate your time because I think the work that you and your team does is so important in our community. But like I said, I didn't know a lot about it. And then to get a chance to spend some time with you this afternoon, yeah.
Right.
Thanks for all that you do.
How easy you are to talk to, because whether it's a news interview or you got to stand on stage, I'm not a public speaker. I can't do it. My hands shake, all these things. But knowing that by doing it, if we're doing it for the right reasons, can hopefully, again, like you said, bring attention to something that needs to be talked about. And maybe we're better at radio than TV, but I still don't like doing it. So I'll think of when Candace said, guess what? Or I can't remember how you quite worded that. I signed you up for something, or it's like, well, okay, I can. We got some things that we could definitely spend more time talking about in your podcast. I don't know. Here's a secret. I haven't listened to a podcast until this came up, and so you were my first podcast. That
gosh, I'm blushing.
Yeah, and I was really impressed. And so that's why I said yes. To talk about not me, but what we do and what we're trying to do, and just if I could share that notion to just show up for an hour and put in a little bit can go a long way, and you might like it.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Brennen, for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Episode 3, Season 8 of YXC Underground. My name is Eric Anderson. I host, produce, and edit this local independent podcast. My thanks again to Brennen Mills and the Saskatoon Fire and Flood team for making Rana and me feel so welcome in their space. I've put a link in the show notes to the Fire and Flood website if you want to learn more about their impact in our community. You can listen to YXC Underground wherever you find your favorite podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or on the website, yxcunderground.com, and that's where you can find nomination forms as well. So do check out the website, yxcunderground.com. Please feel free to leave a 5-star review if you like what you hear. You can follow YXC Underground on social media. Simply search YXC Underground on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and that's where you will see some lovely photos of Brennen and his puppy dog, taken by Saskatoon photographer and my friend Rana Andres. My thanks to Rana for her amazing work on this episode. My thanks to my cousin Andrew Dixon for creating the original theme music for the podcast, and to Saskatoon's Danger Dynamite for creating and maintaining the website. Before I go, I would like to acknowledge that these interviews were gathered on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. YXC Underground is a production of the Salthammer Production Company. My name is Eric Anderson. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon, Saskatoon.